I can tell it's going to be a bad meeting from the moment my boss doesn't look up from her laptop. The hum of the office printer is louder than either of us. My hands are clammy around the cup of water I grabbed just to have something to hold. "So," she says, finally glancing up, "what's this about time off?" I take a breath. I need to request a medical leave for mental health. My doctor suggested a few weeks." Saying the words out loud feels like dumping stones from my throat. I force eye contact because I promised myself to say it without apology. I've been having panic attacks, burnout. I'm not quitting. I just need help getting back on track. Her eyebrows twitch. "Panic attacks," she repeats, like she's testing the phrase. "Is this stress from a project?" "It's everything," I admit. "I just haven't been okay for a while." She shuts the laptop gently, folds her hands. "You've been performing fine. Couldn't this wait until after the product launch?" A wave of heat crawls up my neck. "If I wait, I don't think I'll make the launch," I say softly. "I've tried hiding it, but it's getting worse." She exhales through her nose, slow and deliberate, the corporate equivalent of an eye roll. "Fine," she says at last. "Send me the paperwork." I should feel relief, but the room stays heavy long after I leave. When I show up the next morning, the air feels unnervingly still. My ID badge doesn't beep at the reader the first time. Maybe a glitch. Dual monitors glow in cubicles. Coffee machines hiss. I reach my desk, notice a folded envelope resting on my keyboard. HR's name on the corner. Inside, notice of termination, effective immediately. My head rings. The paper blurs like it's underwater. I walk to her office, clutching the letter. "Is this a mistake?" I ask. She doesn't invite me to sit. "No. We've decided to restructure. Your position is being dissolved. Yesterday you told me to send the forms for medical leave." She nods without emotion. That was before upper management made some decisions. It's so polished, so rehearsed, that I almost laugh. "You mean before I told you I was struggling," I say. Her silence is an admission stacked inside no compassion. "You'll get your final paycheck by mail," she adds. I stand there, rage shoving aside the fog. "You know this is illegal, right? You can't fire someone for asking for leave." Her voice lowers. I'd watch those accusations. I walk out shaking. The office feels smaller than it did yesterday, people avoiding my eyes as if mental health were contagious. I pass the break room, where my own motivational poster still hangs on the bulletin board. You can't pour from an empty cup. The irony stings bad enough to make me laugh. Outside, the sun is cruelly bright. I sit in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel, half expecting someone to chase me down and say, "It was all a misunderstanding." No one does. For the first 10 minutes, I just breathe. In, out, don't think. Then I call HR, because anger is the only energy I have left. "This letter," I say, "came less than 24 hours after a medical leave conversation. You understand how that looks?" The HR rep clears her throat. "I'm sorry you feel that way. The decision was made based on performance metrics." Performance metrics. The phrase rolls around like gravel in my mouth. "I'll see those metrics then," I say. "I'm afraid that information's confidential," she replies. "Not to my lawyer," I say quietly. A pause. "I'll note your concern." That night, I can't sleep. The apartment is tiny and too quiet, and every sound, a refrigerator click, a car in the alley, ignites another swirl of anxiety. I keep replaying the meeting, the way she said fine like pity. I keep imagining everyone at work whispering about me being unstable. Around midnight, I sign on to my laptop and start documenting everything. The emails I sent asking for help, the HR forms I never received, the text messages from colleagues thanking me for covering their projects while quietly falling apart. By 2 a.m., I have a digital trail of what happened, my survival written in timestamps. I email it all to a lawyer whose office tagline I find online. Employment rights are not optional. The next morning, she calls. Her voice is calm, solid. "I've seen this exact setup before," she says. "If your doctor recommended leave and they fired you, we have a case." Hearing "we" startles me. For weeks, I've only had "I." She gives me instructions. Request personnel files. Don't delete messages. No direct contact with management. I follow every instruction like gospel. For once, structure feels protective. HR emails me the next day, suddenly friendlier. "We'd like to schedule an exit interview to ensure a smooth transition." I type back, "My attorney will attend." Press send. It feels like reclaiming oxygen. The world doesn't rebuild overnight. I file for unemployment, fill the space where routine used to be with therapy appointments and long walks through the city. At first, I walk just to move something that isn't my thoughts. Eventually, I notice small things. How cold air feels honest. How daylight on windows doesn't require approval ratings. My therapist asks how I'm handling the lawsuit. Mostly terrified, I admit. But also, proud? It sounds absurd, even as it leaves my mouth. But she smiles. That's progress. Pride is a sign of ownership. I start volunteering at a small nonprofit that advocates for workers with disabilities and mental health conditions. The first time I tell someone my story, they react not with pity, but recognition. One woman says, "They did that to me too." Our shared outrage spins into determination. 2 months later, the company settles. The amount covers bills, but the letter of apology means more. We regret any distress caused by the misunderstanding leading to your termination. Corporate poetry for "we got caught." Still, I read it 3 times. Each word steadier than the last. I forward a copy to my former boss with no message attached and close my laptop. Then I pull on a jacket and step outside. No office keycard, no meetings. Just me, breathing again, fuller now. I'm not cured. Panic still edges certain mornings, but I'm freer than I've ever been. For the first time, the words mental health leave feel less like an admission of weakness and more like the beginning of everything I actually deserve. 3 weeks after the settlement, mornings start to have rhythm again. I wake without dread, brew a cup of coffee without checking email, let silence be just silence. I don't flinch when the phone rings anymore. My lawyer calls to wrap up paperwork. Her calm voice feels like the sound of a door closing behind an old storm. "They're probably rewriting their policies now," she says. "Sometimes you win more than money." After we hang up, I sit with the cup warm in my hands and realize she's right. I did win something quieter. My own time. I start using it. Therapy twice a week. Journaling every morning before the noise of the world steps in. I write down everything I never said in those meetings. Each apology I gave that wasn't owed. Each compliment I used to smuggle self-worth past criticism. On paper, I look braver than I ever sounded. The nonprofit I'd been volunteering for asks if I want hours. "We could use someone who's lived this," Maya, the director, tells me. I say yes before my brain reverts to polite hesitation. On my first real day, she introduces me as the mental health leave guy who fought back. The phrase makes me laugh out loud. "That's one way to summarize trauma," I reply. She grins. "Own your legend." I learn quickly that advocacy feels nothing like my old job. Here, the deadlines aren't weapons, they're plans. People cry sometimes, but we cry towards something. I help a cook who was fired for panic attacks draft a letter, but call center employee outline a timeline for her case. Every story is different, but the pattern is the same. Fear first, then relief when someone simply believes them. At night, I still hear my former boss's voice in echoes of dreams. Flat, dismissive, but in daylight, Those echoes shrink. When anxiety starts to crawl up my throat, I go outside. I walk fast until my heartbeat and footsteps merge into one noise, steady and manageable. Months pass. One evening after group therapy, I see an email from the State Labor Board confirming my claim is officially recorded in a public report they publish yearly. My name isn't there, but the story is, employee terminated after requesting medical leave. The last line reads, and company implemented new mental health training for managers after settlement. It shouldn't matter as much as it does, but I breathe out and feel taller. Somebody had to be the first domino. Mom calls that weekend. I haven't told her everything, just that I left voluntarily. She still worries. Are you okay, sweetheart? You sound different. Better different, I tell her. Are you sure? I'm sure. When we hang up, that certainty lingers. I realize I'm not waiting for anyone's permission to believe myself anymore. A few months later, Maya asks me to speak at a local conference. Small crowd, community center chairs, nothing fancy. The night before, anxiety shows up anyway. I take my old termination letter from its envelope, fold it once, twice, and slide it into my pocket like armor. On stage, I tell the story in first person, present tense, exactly the way it happened. The humming printer. The soft click of my badge. The way she said fine, like concern was a chore. I don't add drama. I don't need to. I end with the line, if telling the truth shakes your career, the career was already unstable. Applause crashes over me faster and louder than I expect. Afterward, people line up to talk. A nurse, a teacher, a kid my age working retail. One of them says, hearing you makes me think I could finally ask for help too. I tell him that if he does and they punish him, we'll help him fight. That sentence lands heavy. It sounds like responsibility, but for once it doesn't scare me. It feels earned. On my walk home through the city, streetlights flicker across wet pavement. I catch my reflection in a dark store window. Same face, new steadiness. My old office tower looms 10 blocks away. Its facade glitters with 1,000 rectangles of fluorescent exhaustion. I stop, stare, and realize I feel nothing. No pull, no pain, just distance.
Back home, I take the letter from my pocket, unfold it, read the line about being terminated effective immediately, and smile. Effective immediately can work both ways. I ended something too. I tear it neatly into 4 strips, drop them in a recycling bin, and whisper, promotion accepted. Then I sit down, open a new document, and start drafting the talk Maya wants for next month. Something about how self-care isn't selfish. How leaving a toxic room might be the most productive act you ever do. Outside, the city hums, alive and indifferent. For the first time in a long time, I hum with it. By the end of the year, the rhythms of my new life take hold. I get up, stretch, drink tea instead of coffee, and go to the nonprofit's office with something I haven't felt in years, calm anticipation. The walls are covered with posters that ask questions instead of giving orders. What would thriving look like? In the corner, a stack of pamphlets still smells of fresh ink. I helped design them. Somewhere, people I'll never meet will unfold those pages and see the sentence I insisted on adding at the bottom. Your job can replace you. Your mind can't. Protect it first. Maya notices me staring at the posters as I hang my coat. They're good, huh? She says. Yeah, I answer. It's weird seeing words I needed a year ago printed like advice for someone else. The days fill with stories. Each one folds into the next. I sit with a taxi driver who hasn't slept more than 4 hours a night because of double shifts. A barista who shakes when she hears the word meeting. A programmer who can't look at code without panic. I show them how to write their requests, how to ask for help without apology. It doesn't fix everything, but the room always feels lighter by the time they leave. One afternoon, my phone pings with an unknown number. The area code is the same as my old company. Against my better judgment, I answer. "Hello, this is Rebecca," a bright HR voice says. "We're updating our wellness outreach network. You're listed as a resource under former employee advocacy. Did you grant permission for that?" I laugh softly. "I didn't, but I'm not upset about it." She hesitates. "Do you have any advice for us as we implement these programs?" "Yeah," I say. "Listen when people say they're not okay. Don't wait for the lawsuit." There's a long pause before she says, "Understood," and hangs up. I set the phone down and realize my hands aren't shaking. I've told the story so many times that it no longer bleeds when I touch it. That night, I meet friends at the same bar where I used to unwind after the office. The bartender recognizes me, asks, "Still at that tech place?" "No," I say, smiling. "Different kind of work now." He nods like he knows what that means. Maybe he does. When I get home, the apartment is filled with half-finished projects, notebooks on coping techniques, brochures waiting for proofreading. A half-written article titled, "What Happens When You Say You Need Help." I sit at the desk and finish the first paragraph without thinking. I used to think asking for help was weakness until the day I lost everything and somehow found myself instead. The words flow easier now. I pour everything I've learned into the piece. The fear, the firing, the rebuilding, the way people's faces change when they realize they're not alone. When I hit publish, the little confirmation box pops up. "Are you sure?" I click yes, and WST messages start trickling in within hours. Strangers from other industries, other countries. One says, "I've been terrified to ask for time off. Reading this, I'm going to try." Another, "Thank you for saying out loud what most of us only whisper." I keep the screen open until the blue glow fills the room and my eyes ache. That evening, eventually I shut the laptop and step onto the balcony. Night dusts the city in gold and gray. Somewhere out there, headlights flow in steady streams. People racing toward deadlines, meetings, alarms they'll hate in the morning. I used to be one of them. I'm not anymore. I pull in a breath of cool air and speak it into the dark like a promise. "I'm still working," I whisper, "just somewhere healthier." The city doesn't answer. It doesn't need to. The quiet that follows feels like completion, like I've ended the chapter that was trying to end me. Inside, I pin one of the new pamphlets to my refrigerator door and underline my own line in black marker. "Your job can replace you. Your mind can't." Every time I see it, I remember that the worst day wasn't the day they fired me. It was the day I forgot I was human. And every new morning since has been the slowest, gentlest way of remembering again.